Currently, I'm involved in real estate. I offer also creative services, and I do other things as well. I have just a lot of stuff. I'm a motivational speaker, so I developed a series of motivational workshops I will soon be introducing via Facebook that I will be conducting in collaboration with Dr. Dinah T. Harper. She's a life coach. I'm also an actress. I do a lot of so public speaking is the number of things we offer under that one umbrella company, McCloud 9 Enterprises LLC. So.
Hey, very good, very good.
Yes.
Well, how long has McCloud Enterprises LLC been in operation?
Well, it's been in operation officially since 2009, November 2009. And from that day, I've been building, and putting the company out there, and just I'm at the point now where I'm looking to take everything to the next level, and I'm developing some really valuable business connections, and several of them, in fact, met over, across Facebook, including yourself. So that's when it officially launched in 2009. Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get to pick on you about the books.
Okay.
All right. Tell me, how many titles do you have, and tell me about each of your titles.
Now, the published title that I have is Cake Tales, 10 Deliriously Delicious Stories of the Surreal, and it is basically a series of stories around popular cakes. And the stories, the various ingredients in the cakes, I personify. So I'm a fantasy food writer, and that's my niche in terms of as far as my preference for writing. And the other titles I have are fantasy as well, and then I have some novels that are forthcoming. But I have a surreal series, the Surreal Carnival Part 1, the Surreal Carnival Part 2, and then I have the Mountain of Chinese Lanterns, Ghosts of the Black Sands, and I have a couple of books of poetry that are yet to be titled. So I haven't titled those as yet. But the ones, the Mountain of Chinese Lanterns, Ghosts of the Black Sands, the Surreal Carnival Parts 1 and 2, those are expected for release in 2014 in ebook format. I have to put them through the editing process, so that's where I am with my titles.
Okay. Are you self-published, or do you have a publisher?
Well, for this first book, for Cake Tales, I self-published it, and basically what I did, of course, I wrote the book. I primarily served as the editor for the book. I did, solicit assistance from some colleagues of mine who are really good. They're really excellent at editing. So I solicited some outside assistance with the editing, but I essentially found a printer to print the book, and then I hired the graphic designer who was associated with the printer to design my cover and all of that, and to lay out the book, to format it. So that's how I chose to do it for Cake Tales, because I wanted to put the book out on my timeline, not wait for letters from a publisher, a traditional publisher, yay or nay. So, which can really take a very long time. And I said, no, I want to put my book out at this time, and so I need to do ABC in order to get that done. And so that's what I did. And from that, I decided to pretty much self-publish my other titles, my forthcoming titles, but I'm going to first introduce them in an ebook format. So that's the goal. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, how long have you been writing, and what inspired you to write?
Okay, well, as far as how long I've been writing, I was aware of my imagination. I became fully aware of my imagination when I was 5 years old. And I shared a room, and I always share this story with people. I shared a room with my sisters growing up in St. Louis. I grew up in St. Louis. And my mother had on our wall, she had pictures of 3 kittens. 3 kittens, and they were big pictures too. And I would always ask my mother, I would say, Mama, are those kittens alive? Are those kittens alive? And she would always tell me, she said, no, baby, they're not real. They're not real. And she would pat me on my head. she kept telling me this, but I wasn't convinced. And so what I did one day was I took a chair, right? I pushed the chair up against the wall, and I reached up and pulled the picture from the wall to look behind the picture to make sure that what she was telling me was the truth. But even when I looked, I still believed that cat was real. And that's when I said, oh, yeah, something's a little different about me. And I said, and from that point on, I knew that I had this affinity. I loved fantasy. For fantasy. And so, and at 10, I lost my mother at 10. And that's when I started to physically write, to sit down and write. And from that point on, it just, at first I started with poetry, and it evolved into the fantasy writing and into the niche where I decided to focus on food in terms of my fantasy, or to heavily incorporate food into my fantasy writing. And so that's essentially how it started. And that's when I learned the power of imagination, and I started to, really, cultivate it. Mm-hmm.
No, you started like a lot of us did, because that overactive imagination will get you every time.
Exactly. Hmm.
Well, speaking of your childhood, I'm going to pick on you for a second.
Okay.
You're from St. Louis, and you moved to Atlanta. What took you to it? Huh?
Well, actually, I moved from St. Louis to Massachusetts because I attended school in Northampton, Massachusetts, and from Massachusetts I came to Atlanta.
All right. What ultimately took you to Atlanta, if I'm not being too personal?
Well, the reason why I decided to move to Atlanta was to pursue being an artist. Because I have so many creative interests, I thought this was the best place to be for me. I moved to Atlanta in 1995, December of 1995, and I haven't regretted the decision since. And it has really been just a place where I've met other creatives, people who are involved in business. This is the mecca for business, especially for African Americans. This is the mecca for business. For music, anything you're interested in, you can find it here and build on it here in Atlanta. You can build something out of it, here in Atlanta. A talent, a service, you can find a niche here in Atlanta. So, and like I said, I've been pleased ever since.
Okay.
Since moving here. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, yeah, because hopefully within the next few months, I'll be back and forth through St. Louis and Atlanta, so that'll be pretty cool.
Okay. Absolutely.
All right. Where can people learn more about you, your titles, and your business?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Say it again?
Yeah, the question, I didn't catch the question.
I'm saying, where can people learn more about you, your titles, and your business?
Well, I am actually establishing a self-branded website. So it's going to be McCloud.com. It's not up as yet, but I have several other websites that I can send you the links to where people will be able to view the various services I offer, because it's several.
Right.
But there will be an umbrella, once again, website, and it will be Gwen, www.Gwen, Gwen, McCloud, MCCLOUD.com.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, pretty cool. All right. Now, what inspired your business savvy?
Well, I'm going to tell you, my dad was an entrepreneur. He owned a salvage yard. So, he didn't make a lot of money or anything, but he owned a salvage yard, and he worked, from the time I was little. I remember him owning that yard. And I think that's where I was born. I had it in my DNA to eventually come to work for myself. And I don't know, I just had it. I have that entrepreneurial spirit in me. So I'm like, and that's what it is. I get it from my dad. Okay. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I follow you, or I'll stalk you on Facebook, and I'll always see you always have a positive message. You always pushing for someone in the positive level. What keeps you smiling? What keeps you so positive?
Okay, I have a really good sense of humor. And one thing, I had a very difficult, childhood growing up in St. Louis, and I have learned just from living day to day, to be grateful. So that's what keeps me smiling and keeps me motivated and keeps me, moving throughout the day. And one thing I firmly believe in is that, while I want to be successful myself, it's important to cheer other people on as well. Because, and especially today, people are dealing with a lot of issues in their personal lives, financially, family-wise, or what have you. And it's important to lend, share an encouraging word, give someone an encouraging word, and to prop them up. So, and it's like, because everyone, in my opinion, from day to day, we're trying to do the best we can with what we have, you see. So I just think it's important to encourage people and to share with them that you believe in them. That's very important. When you tell a person that you believe in them, you just don't know. It could mean the world to them at that very moment. The fact that you took time to tell them that. So, and that's why I post things on my Facebook where I say, check out this person's website or check out this book or what have you. And it's sincere because I want everyone to do well. I really do. I want to see everyone succeed. Because there's enough prosperity out there for everyone.
Well, I'll tell you what. A reason I brought that question up. It's the fact that you're so positive and you do inspire so many people.
Okay.
I just want you to just keep it up, pretty much. So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, that's not a problem. I mean, you're the one that's doing it. I'm just the observer. So.
Yeah, but I love to do it. It's like I love being a cheerleader. And like naturally, just a cheerleader for people. Like, you're great. That's outstanding. And I mean it too. It's not phony. It's like, if I think something is wonderful, I say it's wonderful. Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. And I think that's important to tell people how great they are. If they're great, let them know. It's like, that's very important. So
now this has nothing to do.
To mean it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now this has nothing to do with anything, and I'm not going to tell the year you graduated. But what school? What school did you go to?
Sumner High School.
I knew it. Yep. There we go. Sumner Bulldogs. The old Bulldogs.
Yeah, I graduated from Sumner High School.
So they came over to Roosevelt where the dark side was. I just had to throw that in there for a second.
Yeah.
So, do you have any appearances or tours planned?
Well, as far as the appearances, none at the moment. What's coming forth are the workshops. The first workshop is planned for, either May or June. So that's what I've been building, setting up. I have a website for that, so I can give you the website for the workshops, and developing the manual and finalizing all of that. So that's what I'm doing, and because I've been focusing on some of the various aspects of the business, so I haven't scheduled any definite appearances yet, but those are forthcoming this year, absolutely. But the workshops are the next one. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And finally, do you have any advice for people starting out in writing or business or both?
The main thing I can offer to people who are pursuing writing, starting a business, or what have you, is to stay true to yourself. For writers, to stay true, be authentic in your writing. You see, develop an authentic voice. While it's good to read other writers and to study their styles and what have you, and to look at what people are writing about, find your niche, and be truthful in what you're writing. That's of utmost importance, because then it'll become an enjoyable journey. It won't be drudgery, like, I have to get up and write it this way because they won't read it if I don't write it this way. Be true to yourself. Business, the same thing. Find something that you love to do, and you'll never work another day in your life. Be true to yourself. find something you love to do and stick with it. With businesses, especially when you're starting a business, it usually takes about 5 years. I think they said 3 to 5 years for it to see some level of profitability or success. You have to be able to hang in there. You have to be able to persist and to be disciplined. You have to, you're going to have to focus. It takes a lot of focus and sacrifice. A lot of the things that, I may want to go out on a Saturday night, go see a movie or go dancing or what have you. I have to make the sacrifice and not do those things in order to work on my business. And, and so it involves all of that. And writing as well, there is a level of sacrifice because to write, you have to be, in my opinion, it's good to be alone. That way you can center your thoughts and get them out effectively and get them down, get them down on the page. And so that's the best thing. But across those two fields is to be true to yourself. That's the common thing. Be true to yourself. Okay. And you won't stray. You'll get things done, and we'll be happy with the outcome, the finished product.